why I'm ashamed of Joe Rogan right now. First off, let me just say, I've always liked Joe Rogan. I still like Joe Rogan. Um, I think he's a great personality. I think his radio show is amazing. I think he's a great announcer for the UFC. I think he's a great spokesperson for the UFC. That being said, I'm ashamed of you right now, Joe, for a couple of reasons. Well, actually, it's one reason with multiple issues. Um, I just watched a video of you on YouTube discussing the death of one of my personal friends, Rich Piana. And you discuss, um, you said in the interview something about painkillers, and you're talking all about steroids, and this must have had something to do with this, and this and that. Okay, well, let's get the facts straight before we talk, okay? The fact is Rich died of a heart attack, okay? He fucking passed out, hit his head, was put in a medically induced coma, and died of a heart attack, okay? Had nothing to do with painkillers, had nothing to do with drugs, cocaine, any of the bullshit anybody else is talking about. And Joe, I never would have expected of you to come out and say anything without having all the information. That is just something I've never heard you do before. It's shameful. It really is. Like, those of us out here who are bodybuilders and using steroids and PEDs and whatever it may be, like, whatever's whatever, okay? But, like, I've never heard you even discuss a bodybuilder before, let alone my friend Rich. I watched this video and I hear you saying things about Rich that are just plain out untrue. They're unfactual. There's no fact behind them. There's nothing to back up any of the statements that were made in that interview with you, and I don't even know who else it was that was in that particular interview with you. But, Joe, like I said, I've always liked you and I still like you, but I'm a little bit ashamed of the fact that you would even put on your radio show comments that have no evidence backing them up whatsoever about somebody who I loved and cared about, and many, many other people loved and cared about. So, in the future, Joe, because, excuse me, I do have respect for you. I think you're a great guy. I've always liked you. I've always liked your commentary. I've always liked your radio show. I've always liked you as a UFC announcer. I've always liked everything you've done. Up until this one fucking show. Now, does it mean I don't like you now? No, not at all. I still like you, Joe. But the thing is like, in our business, we use steroids. It's something we do. Okay? The things you were saying about Rich, the way they were said was disrespectful. I don't know if you guys thought it sounded like you were commenting the man, but saying, oh, his arm's the size of my torso, and his arm's the size of all three of our arms put together, this and that, and, just this type of stuff. Like, look, dude, here we are, dude, we're bodybuilders, okay? This is what we do. It's part of our sport, okay? I'm 280 pounds. I have fucking 22-inch arms. I just can't believe I would ever hear that from you. And I just really, I'd appreciate, and I probably won't get it, but I'd really appreciate a retort, maybe in a future radio show, maybe explain that, maybe you didn't have all the facts before you made that show, and maybe you do now, and just let's make it clear. Rich didn't die from steroids. Rich didn't die from painkillers. Rich died from a heart attack. Flat out, plain and simple, the facts. It was a heart attack. Okay? And I'm ashamed of other organizations as well. ESPN, you motherfuckers never cover our sport until somebody fucking dies, and then it's immediately steroids kill them, steroids kill them. Fact is, steroids have never killed anyone, okay? Diuretics have, growth hormone causes enlargement of every part of your body, including internal organs. So yeah, enlarged heart, lungs, liver, whatever. So that may have contributed to Rich's heart attack. But the fact of the matter is it wasn't a painkiller overdose. It wasn't cocaine. It wasn't anything but a fucking heart attack, okay? The reason he was put in a medically induced coma is because it took the fucking paramedics 10 minutes to get to his goddamn house, okay? His girlfriend was trying her best to perform CPR on the man while she waited the 10 fucking minutes it took paramedics to get there to help Rich, okay? Now, had they responded sooner, he may still be here, okay? But because of the fact that he was fucking in that state with a tiny little girlfriend trying to perform chest compressions on a fucking 290-pound man, which is nearly impossible. She even stated, basically that she was like practically jumping on him with all of her weight to try to perform these chest compressions. Let's blame who's really to blame. The paramedics that should have responded faster. They should have got to his house a lot sooner than 10 minutes. Okay, let's blame maybe, and I'm saying because I don't know even this to be true, so I'm not going to say it as a fact. Let's possibly blame this health and wellness doctor who gave Rich unlimited supplies of IFG1, which may or not have been real, a real IFG1. Could have been some bullshit that may have contributed to the fact that Rich had a heart attack. But the fact is Rich knew what he was doing, and he always has. Like, Rich knew everything there was to know about steroids, and he tried to share it with the world so that they would know how to use steroids safely. So it's really, really doubtful that a man that knew so much about using steroids safely would die from steroids or illicit fucking drug use or, the abuse of painkillers or anything like that. So, Joe, like right now, dude, I love you, but I'm ashamed. I'm fucking ashamed to hear you say these things about somebody that you never would talk about before, And like I said, ESPN, fuck you guys. You never cover our fucking events. You never cover any bodybuilding shows. You never cover anything that has to do with bodybuilding until somebody has a tragic accident. And then the first fucking words out of your mouth is, oh, steroids killed them, steroids killed them, steroids killed them. Let's talk about steroids in baseball. Let's talk about steroids in football. Let's talk about steroids in fucking even soccer and cycling. Every goddamn professional sport in the world, on some level, there are PEDs involved. Let's face it. Joe, you know that because you're involved in the UFC. Okay? Now, just recently, I don't remember the gentleman's name. Was it John Jones? Possibly John Jones? Tested positive for PED use. So let's face it, they're involved in every sport. But in our sport, it's realistically part of what we do. How can we be competitive in a sport called bodybuilding when everyone else on the stage is on a substance, performance enhancing substance, and we can't be competitive if we're not. So the fact of the matter is like in bodybuilding, steroids are a part of what we do. Okay, like not everybody appreciates that. Not everybody wants to be this size, but the fact of the matter is there are those of us out there that do. Now look, okay, sure, Rich suffered from body dysmorphia. So do I. I look in the mirror, I see a tiny guy. Clearly, I'm not a tiny guy. It's a condition that comes with the desire to be a bodybuilder. It's in. We're born with this. It's in our blood. Bodybuilders aren't. It's not something like, there's no bodybuilding in high school, so it's like, We didn't go to high school and play baseball or football or anything, and then go to college and get drafted by a professional team or anything like that. We were born with bodybuilding in our blood. Okay, Rich was born with bodybuilding in his blood. Okay, Rich competed. He was a Mr. USA. He won, numerous shows before he decided to stop competing and continue bodybuilding for his own satisfaction. Like he was a huge personality on YouTube and almost every social media outlet that there is, and in every way, shape, and form, all he ever did was try to tell people how to do these things right, and how to stay safe. And here it is when Rich finally dies of a heart attack, and the first things out of everybody's mouth that doesn't know anything about the sport is that steroids or illicit drugs or drug abuse had something to do with it. And that's just bullshit. That is just flat out bullshit. I'm ashamed of the fucking, the people that cover sports as a whole, ESPN, any other network that covers sporting events. You never cover our events. You never cover bodybuilding. I've seen you guys do strongman. I've seen you do all this other shit. I've never seen a Mr. Olympia. I think maybe one or two times, maybe in the history of the contest. Maybe a Mr. Olympia has been broadcast on television. There's never any coverage of bodybuilding, but yet let somebody die. In the case of Rich, or even Dallas McCarver, who choked on food and died, and immediately the first thing out of everybody's fucking mouth is steroids did it, steroids did it, steroids killed them. Steroids have never killed anyone. Diuretics may have killed somebody. Diuretics may have killed multiple people. That's a part of our sport too. I personally don't take diuretics, and I personally can't say whether or not Rich did or didn't. But the fact of the matter is Rich died of a heart attack. There was no fucking painkillers. There was no cocaine. There was nothing like that. He fucking passed out, hit his head. Paramedics took way too long to get to his house. They put him in a medically induced coma, and he died of a fucking heart attack. Flat out, plain and simple. So maybe it would be really nice to hear from somebody who I respect, Joe, you, maybe to come back out in one of your radio shows, take 2 minutes and say, hey, I got some bad information from whatever source, and now I'm here to tell you the facts. Rich didn't die from painkillers or illicit drugs or steroids. Rich had a heart attack. Like I said, Joe, I respect you. I always have. I've always liked you as a personality. I'd like to meet you one day. I still have respect for you. But that one particular broadcast just really, I had no respect for. I felt the way you guys were talking about Rich was very disrespectful. And I felt the way, it was almost as if you guys were making fun of him in the way you guys were describing his body. So, and then to go on to say, maybe somebody naturally this big, you started talking about, other people, and talking about Rich, and then it went on to, some women are born with just enormous boobs, and some dudes have enormous Johnsons, and this and that, so maybe it's possible somebody could get this big naturally, and this and that, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, it's almost like you were making a joke out of the whole thing. And to me, I found it very disrespectful, and I would really like to see you come out and say, I made a mistake, I was given bad information, and, tell the facts. Tell the facts about what happened to Rich. Don't tell the fucking hearsay, don't tell the bullshit stories, tell the facts, Come back out, let it be known, take 30 seconds and say, I made a mistake, I was given bad information. That's all I ask. You know what I'm saying? If you don't do it, whatever, but it would be the right thing to do, the respectful thing to do, and let the man rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Joe, I respect you. I always will. I always will like you as a personality, but I really would like to see that from you. Anyway, I'm going to sign off as of that. But I just wanted to let that out because it was really bothering me after I saw that podcast, and it just really bothered me.